If you're watching this alone, pause for a second and look around your room. Because tonight's story is about a man who lived with someone for 8 years and never realized he was not the only one inside that house. This is not a ghost story. This is worse. Because everything that happened was legal, planned, and done by a human mind. And by the time the truth came out, it was already too late to stop it. Let me tell you about Daniel Harper. Daniel was a court psychologist, the kind hired to evaluate criminals before sentencing. He interviewed murderers, manipulators, predators, and wrote reports that influenced how long they stayed behind bars. He believed one thing strongly: monsters are easy to spot if you know behavior. He was wrong. 8 years ago, Daniel testified in a high-profile case against a woman named Mara Ellison, accused of poisoning 3 family members slowly over months for inheritance money. She never confessed. She never cried. She only watched him during evaluation, calmly. Daniel declared her a high-risk, manipulative psychopath. His report helped secure 3 life sentences. Before being taken away, Mara told him one sentence: "You read minds, but you never check mirrors." Daniel laughed it off for years, until small things began to change. Not big things. Tiny things. A book moved slightly. A chair angled different. Kitchen items rearranged. He blamed stress. Then smells started appearing, cigarette smoke, but he didn't smoke. He installed cameras. Nothing appeared, but things kept changing. Then he started losing time. 10 minutes felt missing some days. Once, 2 full hours. Medical tests showed nothing. Sleep study normal.
No tumors. No disorder.
One night, he woke at 3:11 a.m. and heard movement in the hallway.
Soft.
Careful.
Human.
He checked the cameras live from his phone. Empty hallway. But he still heard breathing.
Close.
He opened the door quickly. Nothing. On the floor outside his bedroom was a sticky note. "You missed one." He checked all locks. All sealed. No forced entry. Police assumed stress hallucination. He almost believed them, until he reviewed old case files and noticed something he ignored before. Mara Ellison had a brother, Elias Ellison, declared dead years earlier. No body recovered. Daniel felt uneasy, but dismissed it. Weeks passed. Then his dog stopped entering the storage basement. Animals don't argue with instincts. Daniel finally searched the basement thoroughly. Behind insulation boards, he found something impossible. A small hidden crawlspace tunnel between wall layers.
Old.
Carefully maintained. Inside were food wrappers, water bottles, battery packs. Someone had been living inside the walls. Not for days. For months. Police investigation found fingerprints. No match. But they found something else. The tunnel system predated Daniel's ownership of the house. Built decades ago. Case stalled. But the disturbances stopped. For a while. Then Daniel received a package.
No sender.
Inside was a printed transcript of his private therapy sessions with inmates. Sessions never recorded officially. Someone had been listening live. Last page had a handwritten line. "Observation changes behavior. You taught me that." That line was from Mara's evaluation. Daniel reopened her prison file. She had died 6 months earlier. Stroke in custody. But visitor logs showed one consistent visitor for years. A legal researcher named Paul Vance. No photo on file. Daniel checked staff registries. No such employee. Now fear became structure. Daniel moved houses. New city. New security system. New routines. Quiet again. Until year 2 in the new place, when he received a court notice. Someone requested a psychological reevaluation appeal, using his original report, claiming procedural bias.
Filed by
Elias Ellison.
Alive.
Daniel attended the hearing out of obligation. Elias appeared, thin, polite, soft-spoken. He thanked Daniel publicly for his thorough work. Too polite.
Too calm.
Then Elias said something strange outside the courtroom. "My sister lost freedom because of your certainty. I wanted you to experience uncertainty." Daniel asked what that meant. Elias smiled. "You still think the house was the experiment? That sentence stayed in Daniel's head for weeks. Then twist one revealed itself. Police contacted Daniel. Fingerprints from the wall tunnel finally matched. Not Elias. Not any criminal database. They matched Daniel himself.
Impossible.
He had never entered that space. Forensics confirmed repeated presence over months. Daniel suspected identity fraud. But then neurologists discovered something rare in follow-up scans. Dissociative fugue episodes, stress-triggered alternate behavioral states. Sleepwalking with complex planning ability. Daniel rejected it. Until security footage from his second house, infrared, showed him awake at night, moving differently, removing and replacing objects deliberately. Not confused. Methodical. He watched himself behave like an observer inside his own home. He checked his old notes. Margin handwriting he didn't remember writing. Behavioral experiments. Self-exposure therapy logs.
Hidden. Documented.
He wasn't being watched. He was watching himself. But the story doesn't end there. Because Elias requested a private meeting. Daniel agreed. Wired, recorded, cautious. Elias said, "I never entered your walls. I only mailed reminders." Daniel asked, "Reminders of what?" Elias answered, "You built the tunnel yourself after Mara's last interview. You said you wanted to feel what hypervigilance does to the mind. I just encouraged the project anonymously." Daniel searched archived storage invoices. Construction materials ordered under his name. Delivered years ago. He had created the fear environment himself, then forgotten. But here comes the deeper twist. Elias never cared about revenge. Mara did. Before death, she wrote a letter, released only after passing. In it she wrote, "Daniel doesn't misread monsters. He manufactures them by believing certainty is truth. Let him diagnose himself." She manipulated him psychologically during evaluations, planting cognitive triggers, phrases, symbolic anchors. You missed one. Check mirrors. Observation changes behavior. All were conditioning keys. She turned the profiler into the subject. 8-year delayed psychological revenge. No violence. No crime. Only influence. Case closed. But the ending is darker. Because Daniel reviewed the first night disturbances timeline. They began 3 months before Mara's final evaluation, meaning someone else started it. He rechecked visitor logs again. Paul Vance, the fake researcher. Photo finally recovered from an archive badge scan. It was not Elias. It was another court psychologist, Daniel's mentor, the man who trained him, who believed Daniel had become too certain in judgments. Together, mentor and prisoner designed the longest behavioral revenge experiment in court history. Daniel resigned, not from shame, from realization. He wrote one last paper before disappearing from public practice. Never trust a mind that believes it cannot be studied. And if you're wondering what happened to Elias, he became a behavioral consultant for legal defense teams, teaching one method: how to defeat certainty without lying. So, if you ever feel completely sure about someone's mind, be careful, because the most disturbing revenge is when someone doesn't destroy your life. They make you question your reality. And once that breaks,